Hello, everyone. All right. We'll see how long my phone hangs in there. So it's having a hard time charging today. It's being a little crazy. Like it doesn't want to hold the cord, or I don't know about you. Sometimes I have the phone cord and I have to like bend it in all different sorts of ways to kind of get it to work. Hi, Bradley. Okay. All right, well, I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to pull this one off to say, to say how I'm going to teach, talk about it. And of course, palmistry is so big, I can't do it all at one time. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I may be doing this wrong. Hold on one second. We're going to try and we'll leave that page. So, hello, darling. How are you, Janice? All right. I'm sharing my page. Okay, I think I got it. Having one of those technical difficulty kind of things. Okay, so everyone saw the pictures of my catering this weekend, and I want to thank everyone for all of the compliments. I have always loved cooking and doing food. And the family that I cook for are very special people who I have known for a while. So for me to come out and do a catering is usually because you're very special to me. I don't do them all that often anymore. But it was fun. Anyway, so at the end of our catering, at the end of the catering, she was like looking at me, she goes, okay, so now are we going to do some readings? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Because, they're like family to me. And I didn't have any cards with me. I mean, I had some, they're out in my car because I always have some in my car, just in case. So, right, I know, that's kind of how we roll. So I started by reading people's palms. And that was one of the methods that I learned in the beginning. So as part of my own awakening and part of my own awareness that I was working on, I did all of the personality tests that I could think of. I did the Myers-Briggs, so I border between an INFP and an ENFP, kind of depends. So did that. I did a DISC assessment. I think I'm an I and an S, so I'm very intuitive on that. I did strengths finders and all these different, just basic, who are you kind of personality test. And then I started getting into energy work and energy healers and people and psychics and having readings and stuff like that. And when I did, one of the things that I got into was palmistry. Because if you look at my hand, I have all sorts of lines on my hands. Now, you're not even really seeing a lot of the detail of the very smaller ones that are on my hands, because my hands really they're just ridiculous with lines. So one of the things that I learned after, of course, I started working with cards, and then I started doing numerology. And then when I did the cards and the numerology, and then I went into palm reading, and I started to learn about that. So like I have said several times before, what I want to find is a pattern. I want to know that I'm getting the same information over and over again about what it is that your strengths and your weaknesses are, and so that you are better able to guide yourself through your own life. So there is so much in palm reading for us to begin to get an idea of what our hands are trying to say. So when I start a palm reading for someone, there's, of course, everyone has their own thing and their own way about it. I, of course, look at the two different hands, and you'll notice, like on this hand, you'll see my headline or my heart line up here. It goes up. I don't really have quite the same. There's a very faint line right here. But if you look on this hand, it's very dark, and it comes up through there. So if you look at your two different hands, and this one, I have this line and over here it's not. So if you end up looking at your two different hands, you're going to notice that you have different lines on different hands. So I am a right hand dominant person. I write with my right hand. I, cut, do all that. So left hand passive. So I always refer to this as my left hand is like God's will. This is sort of the blueprint that I came in with, and this is what I'm doing with it, right? So the lines that are on this hand, again, are different levels of development than the lines on my right dominant hand. So, and your lines on your hand change as you go through life. I started taking pictures of my hands a while ago. I probably should have filed them in my phone, because I have like, if you were to look at my phone, I've got like 100,000 photos in my iCloud library. Don't even ask. I save a lot of memes. But so I tried to start to take pictures of the different parts of my hand. So when I'm starting a palm reading, there's a couple things I want to look at first. And I guess this might be a good way. And of course, there's so much involved in it. Everything from the different size of the phalanges, the phalanges that are here on your fingers, to where your fingers are spaced when you hold your hand. Like I tell people, I'm like, okay, shake your hands and just hold them up, because I want to know where your fingers rest. Mine, I have sort of an even spacing between my fingers. There's a little extra space right here. And if my hand is rested and relaxed, I don't have a whole lot of openness. Like some people, their thumb falls way open. They're very, very generous people, and they, and the ones where the end of their thumb bends over way backwards, I always say they're very flexible in their life. They're very they're somewhat of a pushover sometimes. Ask them for a 20, they'll probably give it to you. Kind of thing. No, don't. I didn't really say that. Anyway, this is referred to me as like sort of an arc of generosity. How open are you with other people? I look at the flexibility of the fingers. So, one moment. Vanessa, can you change the outcome on your palm? You can change, we'll get into that. We will change, you can change some of the things on your hand, like some of the teachers that I've listened to and followed. You can work on stretching this out, on stretching your generosity out. You can work on being more flexible. So if I hold someone's hand like this, I want to see how rigid their hand is, right? People whose hands are tight and rigid and closed up, that's kind of how they are in their mind and in their life. They're very set in their ways. They're like, you're not budging them all too much, okay? You're not. So people who their fingers are a little more flexible, a little more, that bend back, they have a little more flexibility in their life. Now, here's the thing. So on my left hand, when I bend my fingers, you can see they bend much farther back. And this is just sort of life itself. But on my right hand, see if I can figure out how to do that. Yeah, they don't bend back like they do on my left hand. This is a lot more of the experiences in my life. This is sort of where I'm at right now. I'm a little tighter and a little more keep my cards closer to my chest kind of person often with that. So I'm generally a little more rigid about some of that. Now, can I begin to stretch some of these things out, like during meditation, maybe some mudras and stuff like that? Yeah, I think absolutely we can change some of those things. Also look at the color of the skin on your palm of your hand, right? So there's white, pink, red, and yellow are really the basic colors of the palm of the hand. And it's really not as concerning, with the amount of melanin, whether you're white, black, Asian, Caucasian, it doesn't really matter on that much as much. We're talking about the color and the texture here on the inside of your hand. White, the person's really kind of cold. So I want you to think about it like the amount of blood flow, right? So when we're talking about the color of the palm, we're talking about amount of blood flow. The white hand, like if you looked at my son's hand, Daniel's hand, Daniel has pale white, paper thin skin, long fingers, and you can't really see any of the lines on his hand. Daniel is a Scorpio sun, a Pisces moon, a Scorpio rising. He's also an 11 life path. He's extremely introverted, and he is so incredibly psychically in tune, like he will blow me away. I have heard numerous times that Daniel is 1,000 times more talented than I will ever be as far as intuition. But if you look at his hands, he has the long creative artist hands. They're very pale white. He's a Scorpio. You know, he's just introverted. He's very moody. He's like, he doesn't like people a whole lot. So on his hands, that's different. My hands would be a little more pink. Mine are a little more balanced. So I like people. I can do people. I can hang out with people, but I also, you know, have my own introverted. People whose hands are really red, those are the ones I refer to like the hot temper. Or very, not even as hot tempered, as much more very passionate, intense kind of people. And the more yellow they get, that's the more bile that's in their system, and that's a little more about bitterness. And so when we pay attention to the color of our hands, that's one thing. Again, the texture of the skin. So when I'm holding someone's hand, you know, some people, they have the very rough hands. Those people are very manual, physical, earthly. They do stuff with their hands, and that's kind of how they think. They think through processing. Whereas on the opposite end of the scale, Daniel's hands, I wish I had him with me. His hands are very white and pale and thin. So all of his stuff goes on up here in his head. He's extremely mental. Everything goes on up here. I sort of have a little bit of a balance between all of that, but not as much. So I look at those things. So I want to look at, I want to look at the flexibility of the hand. I want to feel the texture of the skin on the hand. I want to sort of see a placement of the fingers on the hand, like when someone's relaxed, like are there bent fingers? Are there fingers that group together? I want to look at those things and sort of see when you naturally hold your hands up, where do your fingers fall? Because that also has some indications on the different sort of ways that you process things, okay? And then one of the last things maybe it might be the last, I don't know. So we're gonna look at the hand, right? And they have the mounds on the hand. So we have Jupiter, Saturn, Apollo, the Sun, Mercury, Mars, Luna, and Venus. So once again, we're gonna kind of match astrology and palmistry. Okay. This is your Jupiter finger, right? This particular mound under this finger, you can, I'll figure out how to do this. Anyway, do you want to sort of press on it and see if it's big and puffy or if it's flat or underdeveloped, that sort of thing. This Jupiter finger, index finger, is about your leadership abilities, your leadership and ambition, right? Leadership and ambition. Oh, it's late. It's not late, but it's late for me. The key attributes of this particular mound, ambition, leadership, individuality, spirituality, love of nature, honor, confidence, self-assurance, and I want to make sure I cover them all. So I have this book, The Art and Science of Handreading, and it has a pretty good chart, so we're good. So this mound of Jupiter right here, your leadership mound, love of nature, honor, confidence, self-assertion, benevolence, concern for humanity, diplomacy, sociability, love of food, and marriage-minded. And the possible weaknesses, so when it's like really sinking in sort of thing, domineering, excessive pride, and gluttony. Okay, so pay attention to the mount. You know, is it, I'm trying to say if I can turn my hand to the side, or I do one of these. You can see how some of it, like this one here, is puffed up on that hand. I don't know. I'll see if I can figure out how to do that next time, maybe. Or maybe if I show it like this, you can see where Some of them, like this, is a little more rounded around through here. Okay. All right, next finger, middle finger, your Saturn finger. Saturn is the scholar. This is also like family stuff. Hardworking, introverted, prudent, cautious, economical, serious, scholarly, love of wisdom, philosophical, scientific, loner, dry sense of humor, the balance wheel of the hand. The weaknesses that come along with this: fear, depression, hoarding, extreme introversion, melancholy, repressed, and pessimistic. I've also heard when we have the line that comes up through here, this is also about the line of integrity. So this is if you have the line that, see that line right there? So that's a line of integrity that says you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Okay? Next finger, this one, your ring finger, right? Ring fingers are the creative finger. This is the artist. It's called Apollo and the sun, right in here. Okay? Creative, spontaneous, charming, extroverted, optimistic. So you see how it goes from introverted to extroverted right here. So you can really kind of get an idea of what a person's like, but based on these two, you know, mounds right there, which is what part of they developed. Risk taker, fun-loving, happy, talented, glamorous, entertaining, charismatic, the lover of beauty and color, versatile, adaptable, intuitive, and lucky. So it's very interesting to me how, you know, you've got the Saturn finger here, which is all about business. It's all about being hardworking, serious, scholarly, scientific, sort of loner, introverted, next to this finger, which is your creative, spontaneous, charming, entertaining, happy, glamorous, creative finger, right? So when we pay attention to these two, you know, it's like that's, it's almost like having siblings, you know, where one is the very scholarly, introverted one, and then the other one is like the out there one. Anyway. Okay, so Mercury mound. And these mounds I'm talking about are the ones right here underneath these fingertips, okay? So these particulars, you can see how these mounds. Break for a second. Bradley, does it matter which hand the lines are on? Right now we're talking about the mounds. So the mounds are the puffiness, the amount that that particular part is raised or sunken in. So not really about the lines. The only line that I really talked about was the line of integrity on that one. But you'll get the idea as we go along about how some of all these things sort of play out with each other. And so does it matter which hand the lines are on? Is it on your dominant hand or is it on your recessive hand? I know you said left was how we came in, right is how we are doing now. Are you right-handed or are you left-handed? Is the question. And Charlie, so the creative finger mound is sunken. So that would, I believe, be under the possible weaknesses, which would be quick temper, gambling, changeable, fickle emotions, and egocentric. So, and just remember, anytime we have weaknesses and attributes and stuff like that, we can work on our weaknesses and our attributes. And as we change ourselves, so if I notice, number one, that I have a sunken Jupiter mound where I have, you know, I'm domineering, I have excessive pride and gluttony, which the gluttony, I'm going to say I just finished eating a whole bunch, so maybe that's why that's feeling a little flat right now. But if I notice that this particular mound is sort of flat and I am doing gluttony, being domineering to people, I'm having excessive pride. Sorry, I'm having a hard time getting comfortable in my seat today too. And as I begin to work personally on those things, those mounds will change on our hand. These are just like an indicator. It's not like a death sentence. This is just another awareness tool. As I do my life path number, I am an 11. Sorry, moving a little bit, Andrew. I have instances of pridefulness and stuff like that. So I just have to know, and I definitely have tons of gluttony, as I have serious food issues from time to time. But as long as I'm aware of that, it helps me sort of figure it out and correct it, you know, or at least call myself out on it easier. Brad, you are right-handed. Okay, so this is kind of how you're doing in the world right now. Okay, and this is sort of like the potential or the plan, your non-dominant hand. Okay, so take your dominant hand. This is sort of what's going on at the moment. Charlie, we did your life path number, I believe, when I did a reading with you. That's another thing. And send me a message with your birthday and I'll send you back your life path number. Okay, it's just adding that up. Okay, so moving on. I was here at the sun under the creative finger, right? So I'm under the ring finger, which is our creativity, our artistic sense. So when I look at someone and I see the lines underneath this finger, I also know this right here, are just, I know that person, they're good at journaling, or they would be good at journaling, or spirit would talk to them through journaling or painting or something creative, dance, movement, those sorts of things. I find strengths in running under that creativity finger, and I'm like, okay, well, that may be how spirit will talk to you, or best how for you to communicate and find mindfulness is to use those sort of tactics. Okay, so we're going to go with Mercury. Mercury is your pinky finger. This is the finger of communication, right? So this here, when this round spot under here, which mine is very puffy, and because I am a Gemini, I'm an 11 life path, I am a communicator. What can I say? Skilled communicator, mentally and physically active, industrious, problem solver, shrewd, money conscious, business minded, scientific, family oriented, diplomatic, instinctive knowledge of human nature. Okay? And when it's some of its weaknesses is workaholic, manipulative, dishonest, and a schemer. Again, we all have our good sides and we all have our bad sides. To me, it's always knowing whether or not I'm slipping into the negative aspect of whatever it is that I've got. That's one of my positive traits, if that makes sense. Okay, so we have Mars, right? Here is mound of Mars, right in here. This is upper Mars, and over in here is lower Mars, okay? So, Bradley, my Mercury is fat. Not sure if that's good or not. You're a communicator. You talk. You get points across to people. You're a psychic. You just, you're a communicator. That's about communication. This is about writing, communication. So it's fat. Yeah, it's got some extra energy in there. It's not bad. Go with that. Okay, so Mars, again, upper Mars, lower Mars, right through here, okay? Mars is the planet of the warrior. So when I look at the Mars mounds, one of the first things I want to see is it protruding out on either side? Because if it is, they got some anger issues. Hot-headed anger issues where Mars protrudes, or if it sinks in, or they just, you know what I mean? Okay, Mars. Brave, courageous, energetic, sexual, assertive, direct, honest, determined, resilient, loyal, passionate, persevering, athletic, full of stamina, and the warrior. The possible weaknesses are overly forceful, too intense, sexually compulsive, and aggressive. Sometimes people who are like really super sarcastic can have like that extra, where anger comes out sideways in sarcasm. So these can be like really puffy, poke out. The ones that, just sort of suck it up and take it in. Sometimes that warrior aspect is sort of pushed in or sunken in. When you look at it from, outside, it's a little sunken in. Okay. Now, the mound of Luna, right? So down here, this is the moon, okay? I have, mine is all squishy right there, right? So the moon is about our intuition, okay? So mine, so mine, it's one of the few parts of the squishy things on my body that I'm like, okay, with someone poking at it. But this right here, where it's got its puffy and it's squishy and it's down in here. The visionary. This spot right here, imaginative, intuitive, psychic, sensitive, mystical, introverted, unpredictable, love of solitude, command of language, and love of travel. The weaknesses are impractical dreamer, excessive imagination, tendency to lie, cool, remote, lazy, restless, changeless, and selfish. Changeable and selfish, sorry. So this down here is where I'm always looking for someone's intuitive nature. I just want to know kind of the consistency of it. Does it feel healthy? Does it, you know, when I, like some people I've poked at this right here and it sinks in and it doesn't feel very healthy at all. It's just like, and that's someone who really needs to take better care of themselves. They got to work more on their meditation and stuff like that. Work more on their physical too. Okay, and then here, the mound of Venus, right? So Venus, loving, warm, tender, joyful, sympathetic, compassionate, generous, optimistic, happy, graceful, love of beauty and pleasure, sexual, passionate, selfless, nurturing, belief in the brotherhood of man. The possible weaknesses are lazy, passive, subservient, hedonistic, and can't say no. So this, again, the mound of Venus. This is also someone's like physical stamina to me. Like when it's all flat and sunken in, they need more sleep. They need to be loved. They need to be nurtured. They need someone to, you know, we need taken care of. And not... And sometimes it's about taking care of ourselves and stuff like that. But it's about, you know, just being aware. So all of these things, again, right hand, left hand, these are just the mounds. And that's just the one thing that we're going to talk about today, really, is the different mounds on the hand. And just beginning to have an awareness that these different areas on our hand actually say something about the condition and of our mind and body and spirit by paying attention to these things. So the other thing, and we'll talk about one more thing before I sign off out here. And again, I can't seem to find the right spot in my chair today. I'm like all fidgety. The thumb. Thumb is where a lot of readers will also start, right? Ego, self-will. Pay attention to the different phalanges on your hand, on your thumb, right? Will is the top and logic is here. So when someone's middle one is way longer than the top one, they spend too much time in their head, not enough time doing the action. When this top one, when the top part here is so much longer than this middle one, that's the kind of person who definitely jumps before they think. So trying to find a balance between the top phalange and the middle, right, is the balance between thinking and doing. How much willpower do you have? And are you able to sort of have balance, right? So also, how much is someone able to push you around? Some people you see where their thumb bends all the way backwards. Sometimes they're a little too flexible. Sometimes I tell those people, why don't you work on, you know, holding your thumb a little more upwards, you know, not letting it just completely. And some of it is practicing, you know, some of it is working on stretching our hands and stretching our fingers and getting a little more flexibility in our lives. And some of it is pulling it back in. If we're far too much and we're out there all over the place and everyone's taking advantage of us left and right and we can't keep our thoughts and ourselves together, maybe you need to, you know, work on keeping it a little more closed up to the center. Anyway, does anyone have any questions so far? And if this helped, please let me know. I will go and work on writing up some more lessons about different parts of the hand. One of the things I look for in people is, do they have little tiny fine lines underneath their pinky finger on their Mercury mound? If they do, they're a natural healer, and I often tell them you attract broken people. So just know that they know that you have the ability to heal, and that attracts them to come in and seek healing from you. That bright inner light that people know, they're attracted to it. It's like bugs to a porch light sometimes. But yeah, when they're attracted to that bright inner light that you have, and they know that you can help them, they will come. And that often comes with what's called the medical stigmata and the healer's mark, the mark of the healers, which are tiny fine lines underneath the pinky. Another one I look for is, do you have the Mystic's Cross? So I don't know if you can see, there's X's between the head and the heart line. Those are referred to as the Mystic's Cross. Again, marks of psychics, intuitives, and healers. Another one that I want to look for is a ring that comes here along the outside of the hand. That's called the line of intuition. People that have a line that comes along out there, again, very intuitive. And the other rings, the other lines that come, let me see if I can show it on this hand. It's kind of hard to, maybe next time I'll just draw on my hands. But I don't have a pen near me, and we'll just draw. Up here, this would be a line that comes up around under the index finger. It's called the line of Solomon. Again, another sign of intuition. So sometimes when I'm doing people's palm reading, or I want to look at it, I just like to look for the different marks of, are you psychic? Are you intuitive? Where are they at? And so I can show them to you and say, those are the lines of the intuition. Those are the lines of the psychic. Those are the lines of the mystic. And that's probably why we're talking, you know, because you need to figure out how to get a handle on all that. And yeah. Also, those of us with many, many, many lines on our hand, think of it like an electrical wiring in your house. So again, I have tons of lines, and I have lots of little small lines. Those little small, tiny, sketchy lines all over, a lot of those are just signs of worry, excess energy, excess ability to interpret energy, that you're taking it all in and your nervous system is a little whacked. What else was I going to show you? I think that's about it today. And like I said, if this helped, or if y'all have any questions about it, or would like to come in for a palm reading, or what you could even do, or what I'm thinking about doing is seeing if there's a way someone can take a picture of their hands and send it. I mean, I know that there is where we could take a picture of our hand. A lot of times, palm readers, the best way to do it is to have like a print, you know, like rolling out the ink and take an ink print, sort of like getting your fingerprints done, but like the whole hand, because it really shows a lot more. And I've been looking to find some place where I could get the supplies to do like the ink blotter hand palmistry thing. So, but for right now, we will just go with some basics here. That's, again, the things that I look for to see whether or not they back up what I'm seeing in someone's numerology chart, what I am noticing about what I see, hear, and feel from spirit about them. I want to know that I see a mark on the hand, I hear it in my head, I notice it in their chart, and then again, it just sort of, for me, goes, okay, repeating message, this is what this person has going on. And you begin to go, all right, well, let me see if we can help figure out the best way to get that to, yeah. Vanessa, maybe iPhones would be better for that. Well, I almost thought about like a scanner, like a hand scanner, yeah, or like a you know, copier scanner. I don't have one at my house. I had one, but it broke. So I'm up for creative ideas. And I guess a lot of the handprint, the ink and handprint, press down, that sort of kit. I don't know if someone can find me a police hand printing kit kind of thing where I could do some ink presses of people. That would be cool too. But that's sort of how they get all the smaller, finer lines, and you see things like islands on the line, which are just like little holes or circles in the middle of the line, the heart line, the headline, the lifeline. Islands, chains, stars, breaks, all those different things are different lines on the hand. I have several palmistry and handwriting books. Should you like to look one up on your own? I do like this book. It's a little thick. It's very much a textbook. So, if you don't mind going through the textbook kind of learning, I would suggest this one. It's really pretty good. Also, if you would like to learn more about palmistry and how it matters. So, oh, there's a picture. Hold on. I just saw it. Hold on. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? I hate when that happens. I don't hate it. It's okay. There was a picture that had all of the different... Oh, there it is, right there. So, these right here are the different sort of issues that we can have on the different lines of our hand. Crossbars, island, a break, a star, dots, an X, splits, a fork, or a tassel. So that is what they are called. So if you're looking at your hands and you notice these different things like this on the lines of your hand, maybe just write it down or take a picture of it and send it to me. And let's see if we can figure out what it means and where it is and how we can, you know, help you fix it or something. Or notice, I know back here in the early part of the lifeline, there are breaks and little like cross lines that come here that tend to indicate big traumas that happened. So sometimes I can look at someone's hand and say, what's the trauma that happened to you when you were 5 that caused that mark on your hand, or the trauma that came in at 7, what happened there? And people will of course look at me like, I didn't say it, I just saw it on your hand. So we carry all these marks. All right, guys. I think it's about time for me to head out of here. I'm going to go and check on my little pale-handed child and make sure that he has some food. And I will hopefully be back tomorrow or the next day. Let me know if this helped and if there are any questions that I can answer. And should you want to come in and have a reading, or you know, just come in and we'll talk about how to do your own intuitive development, leave me a message, or you know, leave a comment below. All right, y'all have a great night. Thanks for coming. Bye.